Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to another edition of our favorite show, and hopefully yours too. Attack on the Pack. All right. So, had to get that out of the way. All right. So just so everybody knows, we have merchandise now. Yeah, that's right. Official Attack of the Pack shirts. Yeah. So, also got tank tops. So, yeah. So we are going to be looking legit pretty soon. Indeed.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, if you're looking at this video and you've liked our other videos, why don't you go ahead and yeah, that's right, I'm about to whore out our channel, so get ready for it. Why don't you go ahead and subscribe, or at least like the video. You only have to subscribe. And Google now owns YouTube, so if you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube account, so just sign in, like up there, the top left, or top right actually, corner of the screen, and just go ahead and subscribe to I don't know what is it? Oh, look, alright man, just look at the screen, top left, sign in, like the video, subscribe. Alright, so today, our talking points. Before we get started with the divisional breakdowns. One thing I would like to point, now that free agency has pretty much come to a lull, come to an end, for the most part, it's all about the draft from here on out. One thing I would like to point out is Tampa Bay's secondary from just a few years ago is a great reminder and cautionary tale of hope and optimism. Think back to, I believe it was 2012, they acquired Darrelle Revis. They had newly drafted Mark Barron, Deshaun Goldson in free agency, and they drafted Jonathan Banks. They were on paper touted that season as going to be having one of the best secondaries in football. And that fell apart. And the reason why we're bringing this up is because, of course, Deshaun Goldson recently signed with the Redskins, and it was just a reminder of, and making you look back, Darrelle Revis has been with two other teams and won a Super Bowl since then. Deshaun Goldson is gone. He signed with the Redskins. Mark Barron was traded to the Rams for a late round pick, like fourth, I think, or something like that. And Jonathan Banks is the only one still on the team. So, if your team had what you think is a good offseason as far as free agency goes, and it doesn't involve re-signing your own players, but if you think they made good acquisitions, I'm not saying don't be hopeful, I'm just saying temper it, Just keep in mind what happens on paper doesn't always translate to success in the NFL. By the way, Joel, Mr. Chest. Forgot to do our name introductions, but fuck it, if you've been watching the show, you know who the hell we are. And we thank you, all the people who watch on a regular basis. We thank you. Alright.
You're pretty much awesome.
Yes. By watching us, we think you're awesome. Thank you. Anyways. Alright, so another little tidbit to talk about is Troy Polamalu finally calls it quits. Perhaps a bit too late. Maybe you should have called it quits a year or two ago, Joe.
Shampoo commercials just aren't going to be the same.
Yeah, no. Well, just because he's retired doesn't mean he can't do the shampoo commercials. I mean, come on. But I don't know. I mean, last year he was like
his play was declined.
I think I read an article somewhere. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it said like there were a total of like 49 starting safeties or something like that, and he was like 47. Like he was like the 47th best strong safety. So, yeah. Hey, great career, 8-time Pro Bowler. Obviously, he won Defensive Player of the Year in 2010. I thought Clay should have got that, but we got the ring, so I'll settle for that. But yeah, I mean, dude, won 2 Super Bowls. Great dude, had a great career, but it's time. It was time. All right. So moving on, since we're talking about the NFC and AFC East today, we took a look took a look at NFL.com, and they were doing this thing of roster reset, and by given what happened during the offseason, they were trying to say which team they think, based on the strength of their roster, would finish where in the division. And we couldn't find the AFC East one, but we did find the NFC East. So we're going to give their NFC East rankings, talk about it for a quick second before we dive into the AFC East and NFC East division breakdown. And then we're going to give our take on the AFC East as far as division rankings. And then we'll get into the long spiel of the divisions and whatnot. All right, so first, they have the Eagles being 1, Dallas being 2, the Giants being 3, and of course the Redskins in the cellar. What is your take on this ranking?
Based on roster schedule, I don't know. I still think I put Dallas as number 1. They still have. I mean, they've lost a lot of players, but they still have a strong roster.
Well, the players they did lose, like only really one of them was huge, and that was DeMarco Murray. The middle linebackers, they were middling or on the tail end of their careers. I mean, I think Justin Durant was like 33 years old or something like that. It was either him or one of the other ones that left that was like really old, or sort of old. And of course, did they re-sign Rolando McClain? Didn't he re-sign with them?
I think they did.
Yeah, so I mean, they re-signed Rolando. I think Bruce Carter went somewhere else, but I mean, it's not like they're losing any. They're not losing a Patrick Willis like the San Francisco 49ers.
I mean, point back to the point you were making earlier. They still have that stellar offensive line.
True, and I mean, I think honestly, if you put even our average running back behind that line, Amani Ball, James Starks, even if he stays healthy, could probably get 1,200 yards rushing behind that line.
Oh, I think I could break 500 behind that line.
But more importantly, they put the Eagles up top. And one thing I always say is when a player is changing teams or a new coach is coming in, anytime that player is playing in a different scheme or system, you have to temper your thoughts. It doesn't matter what they did before, because only certain players can transcend any system. All right, like Jerry Rice could have been productive in any system, unless it was a system that only threw deep balls. But I don't think those really exist, except for in Mike McCarthy's mind on third down. But that's another story. But there are a few players at any position that can transcend any offense or defense. So just because of the fact that Sam Bradford is changing systems, Ryan Matthews is changing systems, DeMarco Murray is changing systems, and those are 3 of their key pieces on offense. I mean, given that there's all that speculation and what if we're talking about strength of what we know they can perform, there's too many unknowns there for me to put the Eagles above the Cowboys. Now, if we're talking about just potential, then yeah, potentially, if all 3 of them stay healthy, then yes, this can be a dangerous team. We were discussing before the show, I guarantee you, Vegas will make a bet on anything. And I guarantee you right now, if you go to Vegas, I guarantee you there is a bet right now as to whether or not Sam Bradford, DeMarco Murray, and Ryan Matthews, all 3 make it all 16 games. And I guarantee you the odds are astronomical. I guarantee you. It's got to be like, I don't know what astronomical odds are as far as betting standards, but they'd be high. It's just, there's too much unknown there for me. You know,
I think they're just getting ranked up at the top because of all the off-season moves. Everybody's in the hype.
Yeah. And not to mention,
Chip Kelly's going
nuts,
crazy, picking up all these players.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, Kiko Alonso is a great addition to that linebacking core with D'Amico Ryans coming back and I think it's Michael Kendricks. Anyways, one of the Kendricks brothers, you know. Yeah, Kiko Alonso is a great addition to that, but once again, if he can stay healthy. So there you have 4 very core and important players to that team in very critical roles, and it's like, are you sure they're going to stay healthy? I mean, Sam Bradford didn't even make it out of the preseason last year. So, as of right now, I can't put Eagles above Dallas. Dallas has got to be my number 1 in that division. Then, followed by... Okay, obviously the Redskins are last. Let's just get that out of the way. The Redskins are last. So, but, you know, now that I'm thinking about everything that I just said, I don't know if I can put the Eagles above the Giants. I mean, yeah, Eli Manning can be terrible. It can cost you some games. We were looking at the other day, Eli Manning had like 50-something turnovers in 2 years. All right, the past 2 years. So it ain't like that was years ago and he's gotten better. The dude is a turnover machine. I mean, we're talking about one season where he had 30 turnovers. All right, and that's not counting fumbles that his team just so happened to pick back up. All right, if we're talking about just all turnovers, there was one where he had, I believe it was like 29 total turnovers or opportunities for a turnover, and he only had like 18 touchdowns or something like that. The dude is a turnover machine.
Yep.
And is not elite by any standard. But all that being said, Sam Bradford, injury history, backup, Mark Sanchez, who was also a turnover machine. So in that aspect, they're kind of equal. The Giants' backfield, it's not stellar, but they got people that can stay healthy. They got that kid from Boston College. I think his name was Andre Williams. He was like the leading rusher in college the year they drafted him or whatever. Nobody projected him to be an outstanding back or anything like that, but he's very consistent, and he can take a beating, and he can stay injury free. But they got a stable of running backs there that know the system and can do things. Not to mention Odell Beckham Jr., Victor Cruz, and Ruben Randall. I mean, those 3 names have a lot more star power and draw than Riley Cooper, Jordan Matthews, and Josh Huff. I don't know, it's tight, but...
So what, you think it comes down to quarterback then?
No, honestly, I think it may come down to offensive line. Defensively, they both have their holes. They both got burnt in the back end last year. Yeah, I think honestly it comes down to offensive line. I think that may be the only reason I give the Eagles the edge there, because their offensive line, as we have discussed on previous episodes, was actually better run blocking than Dallas's. And they were second in the league, I think, in pass protection. So you give an offense that kind of offensive line, and it doesn't matter what quarterback or running back you have back there, they're going to have a chance to produce. Whereas the Giants, I know there were times where Eli Manning was like harassed nonstop all day. I mean, you got Justin Pugh, they drafted recently. He's okay. I mean, he's definitely a long-term starter for him. But, I mean, then, I don't even know if Chris Snee is on that team anymore. He used to be a guard for him, but if he is, he's got to be old as dirt. But, yeah, I think I would honestly have to put the Eagles second. Yeah. How about you?
I still think I put the Eagles second over the Giants.
All right.
I just can't get past Eli Manning, so.
That dude's a turnover machine.
Well, I mean, you don't any faith in the Redskins, man? Come on, one more chance for RG3.
That dude's too busy making commercials and trying to get endorsements while he still can.
Come on, man, he looked promising that first year.
No comment. All right, moving on. So now we obviously have to talk about the AFC East roster changes or roster, ranking and strength. We both agreed prior to the show you got to put the Patriots number 1 in that division.
Yeah, it doesn't
I mean,
matter.
they are the Super Bowl champions, but more so than that, even in past years, coming off the Super Bowl, they have been able to just deflect any kind of possible slowing down every year. I mean, as long as they got Tom Brady and Belichick, man, I don't know if Tom Brady is ever going to stop being productive. A lot of people thought it was last year, but then after game 4, he just turned it around and was like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm Tom Brady. I don't know, maybe he got a blowjob from Giselle on the sidelines or something. But man, you seen her cheekbones, man? It looks like she's been sucking some. But anyways, yeah, you gotta put the Patriots number 1, even though they lost key pieces like Brandon Browner and Darrelle Revis. Brandon Spikes Brandon Spikes he left and was in Buffalo last year. But and then of course both Stephen Ridley, Shane Vereen, they're both gone. But like I said, man, they are just so good and adept at just pushing off these things you think are going to slow them down, and then every year they come back and they're in the playoffs. And I believe we also both agreed that the Jets would be at the bottom. Not just because they're the Jets, they have potential to be really good. And as we also stated, the gap between the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets is not that severe. Really, the thing holding them back is Geno Smith. And as we were talking about before the show, Geno Smith can solve that problem one of two ways. Either coming out this year and actually playing half-ass decent, or by leaving the Jets and let someone else quarterback. But then it comes down to Buffalo versus Miami. And this is where there has to be some thought, some really hard thought, because one has no quarterback, the other one has a quarterback. Once again, you got scheme change, you got LaShawn McCoy coming in, so he's been productive in the past, but how's he going to do here? And with Miami, you got Lamar Miller, he's been in the system, you got I don't know if Noshawn still plays for him or not. I don't remember if it was a 1-year deal, but they could potentially have Noshawn there. They got Kenny Stills, but once again, scheme fit. Kenny Stills productive in the Saints. Is he going to be productive for Miami? Yeah, man. Then they lose Charles Clay to the Bills. But once again, scheme fit. Is he gonna work in Buffalo? So there's too many just moving pieces between the two teams. And Ndamukong Suh comes over. He had a good year last year. Is he gonna be productive in that defense? You think he is. You would think, hell yeah, he's gonna be productive. But a lot of people thought Darrelle Revis was gonna own Tampa. Next to Jonathan Banks, Deshaun Golson, Mark Barron. All right, this is why I brought that up at the very beginning of the segment. You would think Ndamukong Suh's going to go over there and just break all kinds of hell. But what if he doesn't? Next to Cameron Wake and that other guy who I can never remember his name, it's like Vernon or something, who plays opposite of Cameron. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, that defense looks scary. They re-signed a lot of people. They maintained a lot of people. And of course, you got Rex Ryan now. And then there's just too many questions on offense. I mean, Percy Harvin, how the hell are they going to use him? Is he going to even play? I mean, because we all remember the year the Super Bowl, Seahawks won the Super Bowl. He only played one game.
Yep.
And that was the Super Bowl. No, I think he played one game during the regular season too, but. So, I mean, is he even going to see the field? How do you account for that? Is he going to run it? Is he going to be catching it? I mean, there was one guy that said